Welcome to the Golden Feather. Grab a pint, a plate, and take your seats.
Your hosts, Vertec and Chibi, are back from their latest adventure.
And tonight, the air is laced
with chaos.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Golden Feather. Today is the 26th of August, 2022, and this is episode number 136. We have Laced with Chaos as our title today, as we have our guest here, Lace and Chaos. So, Lace, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for asking.
And just saying, can't help but notice, but you have the same headset that Chibi has floating around somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good taste.
Absolutely loves that thing. I'm not sure if she mentioned that or not.
Hey. No, I didn't.
Yeah, I just got that like the other day too.
Nice.
I've always wanted a kitty ear headset, so I finally got one. I was like, actually, I have a reason because people are going to see it.
It's adorable.
Thank you. And
then we also have Chaos over there, looking more green than pink. How are you today?
That is true. I'm doing great. I'm extremely excited to be on this, and yeah, I'm extremely pumped. Especially when you guys reached out, I wasn't expecting that. So that was, yeah, definitely a little tongue-tied at the moment. I'll loosen up a bit more.
Hey, it's all right. Hey, well, we feel honored that you're wanting to swap on by with us.
Well, thanks for having us.
Chibi's got more of your content than I have, and she said, we have to get these people on. We have to do it. Let's do it. I'm going to reach out to them. And then away it went.
No, I guess I responded very quickly.
Yeah. I was a little caught off guard just because I do like the slow thing where I slowly wake up. I send out like requests for people that I'm interested in. I think we would have like fun having on. And then suddenly I just get a ping and I'm like, huh? What? I'm awake. Let's do this.
I know. I feel like I've been tied to my phone like since we started doing all the Twitch stuff and the podcast and everything, just constantly doing all the social media and everything to get that kind of out there.
Yeah.
That's much more Chibi's department than mine. Yeah. I'm not a social media person. For shame.
I think Annie's a lot better at it overall, but that's I've been having to kind of dive into it like head first.
So not sure if she gave you the breakdown, but usually we try to spend a good bit of time at the very beginning talking about nothing but the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
God.
I don't know who would like to go first, or if you'd like to tag back and forth, but could you just tell us a little bit about yourselves as far as, your gaming history, but what brought you into content creation, what made you want to jump into it, and Ashes specifically, what really drew your attention?
Well,
so, did you want to start?
I'm terrible at talking about myself, so I'll go first.
There you go. Get it out of the way.
Right.
So I have been playing video games. Like my dad was like a computer engineer and everything, and like he even way back in the day like designed like those little like pixelated like video games and stuff. So like I've had a very early start to them. Those are some of my fondest memories, is playing video games with my dad, because he did work a lot given the demands of his job. Played like Black and White. I don't know if anybody remembers that game.
Dude,
Dungeon Keeper. Yeah, so many good memories in those games. Age of Empires was a big one. Heroes of Might and Magic 3. And then when I got a little older, I started playing RuneScape, and I loved that so much. It was so fun. I didn't have money though. Yeah, I didn't have money though, so I didn't actually get to play it to its full extent. But I was like,
I feel like that's like most people's forays into MMOs, and it was not my. I never touched RuneScape.
I played RuneScape a little bit.
Yeah,
that was like
just a little bit.
Yeah, I picked it up for about a minute.
I was going to like a kind of weird story, but I went to like a private school that was specifically for like horses, like equine studies, because I wanted to be a veterinarian at some point. And now look at me. But that was when I was in high school, and it ended up not quite working out for what I was expecting. But it was like an hour drive there and back every day. And it was just too much in school. But they gave us all a laptop, and that's what got me started. Was I actually had my own laptop to bring home, which was cool. But then we got a little older, started playing Dungeons and Dragons online, and then I met Jamie in 2010. We started playing World of Warcraft, and then that's kind of where we stayed for
so
8 years.
Annie had it on her list that when she met someone, she needed to marry somebody who could build computers, because she was accustomed to her dad making custom rigs, and I can make some pretty sick rigs.
Nice.
But yeah, so for me, when it came to like gaming, I was I can remember my first game was on I think it was Sega Genesis, playing like Sesame Street when I was like 2, and it's been a huge, like, games in general have been a huge part of my life. But when it comes to, say, like MMOs, I think my first one was World of Warcraft, and I remember I was a huge Warcraft fan, like the franchise in general, and I remember being like in my cousin's room. It must have been like around 2004 or something. We're talking about it. I was like, what? They're doing what? You can actually be in the world? I was like, holy shit. So I was like, I couldn't wait to dive into that. And then I think I basically lost my life to that till like, God, I think we played up until the middle of Warlords of Draenor, and then it was around the time that we had our first kid, and we were raid leaders at the time. We were running a guild. We were treating it basically like a full-time job. I think we would raid, God, like twice a week for like 8 hours. And it got to the point where like we couldn't keep up with it anymore. And we slowly started to fall out of love with World of Warcraft, as I think many people have. Yeah. And so for a long time, we've been kind of looking for a place for us to live in like in an MMO. And I remember Annie started following Ashes of Creation, and I was trying really hard to avoid it, because I was like, a lot of people are skeptical about, finding that Kickstarter MMO and backing that. And looking back, I'm like, God damn it, I wish I did so bad. And I forget when it was, but I think it was that Lazy Peon video came out, and I was like, I can't avoid it now. Yeah. And as soon as that video came out, like, I dove extremely hard into everything, as much content as I could consume, read everything that I could find. And then God, I feel like I'm echoing really bad. Try to talk a little bit quieter. Okay.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
Okay, I could just hear it in mine. It's me. So yeah. Anyway, we got. I dove super hard into it, and I was like, we hear the team talk about it. Like it seems so much different than so many other games, and I think it was the interview with Asmongold that Asmongold had with Steven, where he's driving through the desert in Nevada, and the way that Steven just rapidly could think of everything, he pulled everything out of the top of his head. Like he's driving a car talking about all the different aspects of this game. And I was like, this is definitely going to be something. I was like, I can't think of any type of gaming company where you could ask the lead guy any of these questions, and he's just spouting everything off. And so that further like solidified where I'm like, man, we have to find a way, because at this point they weren't giving out alpha keys yet, and I was like, we have to find a way into this. I need to find a way into this. I'm every 24-hour live stream, I'm like, please give me one of these keys. And then because I think that's a thing too, is like a lot of people forget that like the community kind of pushed for that alpha one. So when everyone complains about like the $500 alpha, it's like we asked for it, like we wanted into that. And then on the content creation side, there's been a couple different forays where I try to kind of get into it. Like I've done fitness and stuff, like I've done powerlifting, and I tried to start a thing there with Annie before, and there was different things, but it never really stuck. And I'm extremely passionate about Ashes. Like I don't know how many times we're playing different games like on our stream, and I just go into a rant about different things. So I was like, man, like I used to do, like, I had my own radio show back in college and stuff like that, and I wanted to find a way to do broadcasting, and I don't like short form media all that much. So like the idea of sitting down, having to edit down like a 15-minute video versus having a podcast, which is I can basically do some mini edits to get a lot of the filler words or whatever out, and like have that long form media just seemed like it would be a natural fit for us, and that's kind of where we landed.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of where we went to with the long form instead of short form, just because it's a lot of work getting a podcast and a live stream put together, and coming up with decent, interesting things to talk about and bring people on and all. But in my mind, I definitely click a lot more with that than making like 5-10 minute shorts. And
see, I felt the same way with that. because I could sit and have an hour-long conversation about a single topic and just make that even like interesting. Like, Annie and I do this all the time where we're sitting at home and we're talking about things, and I'm like, this could be a podcast. Like right now, what we're talking about for the last 3 hours, we could have just recorded this and people would probably want to listen to that. And I was like, man, we should just pull the trigger on it and do it, because I was like, I had a lot of self-doubt about it too, where I'm like, man, I don't know what I have to offer to the conversation, stuff like that. And then I forget that I can talk endlessly, and I get extremely excitable. I don't know if you guys notice, the more I talk, the more the hands start going. The more, I'm like a 13-year-old kid trapped in this man's body. Man, especially when like I get people that jump into our stream on Twitch or something, and they're like, we see us watching Ash's creation, they start asking questions. I was like, oh my god. I was the first one we did, like we unprompted, like we weren't really sure what we wanted to talk about, and then I was like, okay guys, like listen, we're gonna go on an adventure. I'm gonna show you all these different clips, all these different things. And I think I have one person right now, she's looking at getting like an alpha key, and I was like, I don't know if I was trying to push you towards that, but I'm really glad you're excited now too.
Definitely the talker between the two of us.
Thank you so much, Avarat.
Yes, thank you so much, Avarat. Much appreciated, and welcome. But yeah, we can definitely see, like I can hear your heart rate kicking up in your voice. Oh yeah, like it sounds like you're like you want to say all this stuff, and you got to hold it back and watch the stream of consciousness coming out of the mouth.
Yep. Oh, I know. That's I remember that a few times too. It was the other night we were on Twitch and we were playing V Rising or something, and someone brought up Ashes of Creation. I was like, oh, guys, we're gonna get off. I gotta go to bed. And it was like 45 minutes later, I was like, oh, I gotta go. And I was like,
yeah, I was gonna say an hour and a half later.
Yeah, they're like, we wanted to go to bed too, but we couldn't stop listening to you. I'm like, sorry, I didn't mean to keep everyone here.
Sorry, that's the anti-snooze button. That's the not yet snooze button.
Oh, I know. Yeah. There's so many times where like Annie's like, all right, I'm ready for bed. I'm like, yeah, me too. Oh, wait, what? We got to talk about this? All right.
Yep. Oh, God, so many times.
So speaking of like streaming, oh, sorry. Finish what you're saying there?
I was going to say, and then we'll get off stream, and then we go to lay down, and then it's like another hour and a half conversation about what we just talked about, where I'm like, man, I'm never going to get sleep.
Brain's still going.
Yeah. Oh, we wouldn't know anything about that at all.
Yeah, no, definitely not. No.
Not at all. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut off the last sentence there of you. But so speaking of your content and whatnot, so what you would say would be like the aim or like the core of any content or streaming you're looking to do? Like some people go super informational, like Jalan PGN Network, who I believe was the one who rated us in, and we kind of tend to just go for like friendly chats and relaxed environment.
See, that's kind of like where I'm sitting, is kind of like in that middle ground of, if people have questions, I definitely have the whole wiki like downloaded into my brain. But what I'd like to do is I kind of do a lot of the different dev discussions that are going on, and like giving our feedback about that, and kind of just doing like this very informal hangout with people, because as much as I appreciate listening to very informational podcasts, it doesn't really fit with my personality of like how I get excitable and things like that. And I find that I'd rather just sit and talk with people and have like an open discussion about things, because that was a thing too that we had some criticism on Reddit of, well, how are you going to make content every week when you're not getting anything? Man, I can take 4 words, I can turn that into an hour. This is the way my brain works. And so the idea was, I know there's a few other podcasts I listen to outside of the gaming world. I know one of the big ones I listened to was Last Podcast on the Left, and they do like a true crime thing, but they have some episodes that are very focused on information, and the other is just the two of them sitting around just shooting the shit. And that was what kind of was the vibe that I wanted to get, was I just want to sit, talk with my wife, and like the same conversations we have all the time, but just so other people can hear them.
There you go.
Sorry,
see, that's when you know you have a passion.
Yeah. And I think that's
like, oh, sorry.
I think that was the thing too, is like, it's been really hard for me to find, because I've wanted to create content, or I've wanted to have like run some type of podcast, but it was like, he's like, well, why don't you do it on fitness? And it's like, well, I like fitness, but like I talk to people to death about it all the time. I don't really want like, it's something I'm passionate for myself, but not something I'm really externally passionate about for like wanting to spread info. I mean, I've helped other people like with different things, but with Ashes, that's something that I literally can reach an audience and talk to people and spread that out. And like I said, we've already had a few different people over, never even heard about it. And that's one of the things I love about Ashes, that it has a very grassroots feel of like, hey, have you heard about this game? It's kind of that nostalgic thing where like that's how you heard about games back in the day, is like someone's like, hey, are you playing this? And what are you talking about? What is it? And then you're like, you start showing your friend, you're like, look at all this, and you're like, oh my god. And that was like the same vibe that I kind of wanted to have with that. It's like I want to bring in those people that, you know, right now we're playing Conan Exiles or V Rising, like obviously not MMOs, but I kind of feel like that survival area is kind of pulling in some MMO players, and I think we have at least like 4 or 5 people now that are super hyped about Ashes, who a week or two had no idea what it was. And as much as I'm very guilty. I'm probably hyping the game like a lot, and I know like some people get upset about it. Man, I'm that person. I'm gonna hype the game because I'm so goddamn excited for it to come out.
That's kind of where we are. We're the hype engine that also says, but you know, there's also, and we add, you know, the couple little bit of shadows hiding in the background. But yeah. We usually we're like 98% hype, and then the 2% of, but there is, you know, this thing here.
And that's the thing, like, I'm not gonna just be like a shill for Ashes until they start giving money for it. But until then, like I'm the same way. Like I'm gonna bring up the things of like I don't really like this direction, or I think this can be improved. And I'm pretty sure that was pretty clear with the Renkai Jaws. I was almost certain that our second podcast was literally just going to go right back into talking about Renkai Jaws. Yeah. I was like, I'm trying to talk to Annie about something, and she keeps sending me pictures of different animals with different jaw shapes, and she's like, look, it should look like this, it should look like this, and I'm like, yeah, I just want to know what you want for breakfast.
Just pointing out that there's like those little deer, which I don't know if you've seen them. They have the fangs. I can't remember what they're called, but I was pointing out how a deer, even though the longer canines are on the top, that its jaw is really jutted out on the top around it. So I was like, it should be the same for the bottom jaw.
Yeah. And you guys had brought up actually a really good point on that too, because you were just pointing out that you wouldn't be able to eat with the jaw the way it was currently. And I mean, it makes sense.
And he kept emphasizing that to me over and over. Like, look at this animal, look at this one. It couldn't, you would die. I'm like,
I'm sorry. Renkai have perfected the art of straw making.
Straw making, yeah. This is just a complete liquid diet.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's one of those things where they would have those tusks for a reason. So like they would have a function. They wouldn't just be decorative. There's just the way evolution and things works like that. So they would have to have like all the muscles and everything to support such huge teeth in their mouth. Like think of any animal that has large teeth. Like they don't have dainty little angled features and things. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it unless you guys want to, but
I'm going to tell you, I've got like a figurine of Garrosh sitting above me, rest in peace. And oh my God. I'm not going to get into that.
Pour one out for the homie.
Yeah. Oh god, they did him dirty. Fucking Thrall cheating and a Makara. I'm never gonna let that go.
No. Actually, it was funny. Oracle the White in chat not long ago mentioned that the weirdest thing that happened to them in WoW was 2 Alliance players helped them level on their Orc character during Burning Crusade.
Oh yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Oh my god,
that's pretty cool.
Which by the way, feel free to interact with people's in here. We try to take a break every once in a while and just kind of address chat and catch up.
It, yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So if you see something you want to reply to, feel free.
Yes.
Oh my god, did they not know Garrosh is dead? Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna actually rant a little bit.
Spoiler alert.
I'll rant for a second because I have not been letting this go since it happened.
Oh my god.
Okay. First off, so for anyone that understands, like this is the thing. It's like orcs are my thing. I love orcs, and that's why I was so passionate about the Renkai. So Garrosh definitely should have had this like hero arc that he never got. Because I was reading the books, I was reading everything about it, and like it's called War Crimes, and he's got this whole thing with Anduin that he's going back and forth, and that story was amazing, and like they set it up where he potentially could have redeemed himself, but then they go and have this like with the Makara in that orc, at least with their society, it's supposed to be no armor. You're not supposed to use any type of magic. No poison weapons, nothing like that. So it's just supposed to be 2 warriors going at it. At the end of the cinematic, Thrall uses magic to crush and kill Garrosh, and it just walks away from it. And I'm like, you guys just destroyed the lore. Like I'm a huge like lore nerd, and I got so upset. I'm like, that was one of the things where I was like, I'm done with WoW. I can't play this game anymore.
Overthrow said exactly what you want to hear.
Yeah, Garrosh did nothing wrong.
Garrosh did nothing wrong. There you go. Yeah, I thought it was kind of messed up too. I didn't know a lot of the backup.
I have not been able to let that go.
He literally has said on his deathbed, he's going to say, Garrosh did nothing wrong.
I'm going to tell Annie it's the last thing I ever say. Garrosh did nothing wrong.
And then the last thing he's going to hear me saying is, I want a divorce.
So, Lace, I have a question for you. I'm going to kind of refocus us and get into the live stream that they had today. But I saw on your previous live stream that you guys were, when chatting about the different races and stuff, you were into the Empyreans. So what was your feeling seeing them release the concept art versus the actual character design of like the in-game character of the Empyrean?
I thought they looked great. Like, it was, she definitely had, what did they say, a resting elf face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so funny. But like Steven said, like, she looks determined. She looks like a woman who knows what she wants, what her target is. So like, after he said that, I was like, oh yeah, like I could definitely see that. So I think they did an amazing job with that. Like, the hair looked great. Just all the details on the skin, which we'll see in many more of their characters, I'm sure, but just everything looked really good.
It's
awesome.
Extremely impressive, the amount of detail that they have in the characters.
So one thing that both of you had mentioned in your live stream and your podcast was that you were worried because of the pointed noses, but I noticed that the actual character was a bit less pointed. Do you think perhaps they either noticed it, or perhaps that might just be the artist, kind of their style pushing through a little bit?
I definitely think when it comes to the concept artwork will always look different than a 3D rendering or, the models. So taking that into account, I don't think that the actual in-game models will look exactly like their concept art, mostly because they're probably being done by different artists as well, because it's, two different mediums. However, I think it's more so just getting down to what they're trying to show with the concept art, which is like, I guess for the Renkai, what our issue is they're trying to show like more of how they're structuring their faces and things. And of course, with the character creator, all that is
slidable.
What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, slidable. It's got the sliders, but that's like their middle. Whereas when I look at it, I would think that would be like more on one end or the other instead of their mid-range.
That makes sense.
Never know though. When it comes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
No,
I think that was. I think when they when they had mentioned that when they are showing the characters that these are like what the middle ground would look like. I can't remember which stream that was that they brought up, but most of the character design when they roll those out, this is what middle line looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going to go with it too. Is, I mean, they may have drawn the concept art as far as this is the base root of the idea of them. Like, this is kind of the core of what would a typical, high elf would look like in this world. And then the character creator gets involved with all the levers and sliders that can go crazy, and you never know what you're going to end up with.
That's what definitely makes Renkai. That's what definitely makes the kind of the judging of the concept art a little bit more difficult. Is like, well, what's the capability? I kind of wish they showed us like kind of this is middle, this is low end, this is high end of like what what ranges are we looking at? I think that would give us a better idea of like those concepts too, of like okay, I can see what I can do here, and it definitely is like at that. That's at least my opinion. Is I would like to see, honestly, it's just me wanting more content because I'm like, just give me anything.
One thing I noticed is you guys were worried, I guess, of how like pointed the noses were and things like that. But as we just saw on today's live stream, they redesigned a few of the, or at least the Nikoa. They've redesigned them.
They look so good.
Yeah, they look
so good.
So I think, sorry.
It was I was definitely not expecting that when they brought it up. I was kind of thinking they would still go more of like that Hobbit almost feel, and then seeing those, I was like, man, they nailed these. These look so good. Like I don't play dwarves, but I'm like, it could be an alt.
Yeah, absolutely. And sad that we didn't see any female versions though.
I know.
But looking forward to seeing what that would look like. That being said, your nitpick of the which race was it again that you were nitpicking? I forgot.
The Renkai?
We were, yes, the Renkai.
They haven't fully shown us that character art, have they? Like in game, I mean, version.
No, they haven't showed the new models yet.
No.
Okay, so when they do that, though, that'd be a perfect time because they usually supplement that with a "what is your feedback," and so like that would be some great feedback to kind of like pin and then add into that conversation.
Yeah, because that was actually one of the at the time that was one of the dev discussions was over the concept art and what do you think, what do you feel? Because that's actually how we pulled that podcast and organized it. Is that a lot of the ones that we did was like, okay, what's the current dev discussions, and then that's what we dove into. So at the time, like that's what they were talking about. So we're like, okay, we can try to influence this, and also we did see like multiple similar like things there, but definitely once that next pass, like I'm gonna keep pushing until my orcs can have big meaty jaws with big tusks.
Yeah,
right.
That are jumping ship and going to the Tolnar.
Ezekiel King, thank you for the raid, much appreciated.
You so much.
Welcome to the tavern.
Welcome in. Tavern's under siege. Get protected. But yeah, circling back, just because I just wanted to make that quick point. Circling back, the Nikua updates. What is your favorite thing from that?
I like that they seem to really have they have that culture to them now, which like I knew they wanted to give that islander, that Polynesian kind of look, or like that Samoan kind of style, and like it just seethes that right now in such a good way. Where I'm like, man. Like this looks so damn good, and I was like, my kids are gonna be like, make Maui.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll see. I even said that when we did our reaction to the dev stream while it was happening. I'm like, I wonder how many Mauis we're gonna see running around. But like when they popped up with those, like the very first thing you think is like, oh, that's like an islander, like it was so cool. So they did a great job with that, and they definitely listened to people's feedback, which is what's so cool about the Ashes community is like they listen, which is so cool.
Yeah,
that's the thing we keep trying to say to people who listen to us too, is like, hey, you don't need to buy into the alpha or any of that stuff to be able to participate. I was like, get into the forums, start talking about like, what do you want to see? What do you like? What do you don't like? It was like, it's so rare for us to be able to have our hands on anything this early in a game. And I think that's something that's really special about this is the fact that we were able to touch this game in a way that you've never been able to interact. Like most companies are not showing you these parts of the game at all. You're not seeing the network alpha. You're not seeing like that like where we're going to be in alpha 2. You might see like the tail end of that with some games, but like most of the time people are showing beta and calling it alpha, and then it rolls out within like 6 months. So I'm like, where we're at with this stuff, it's insane of how much we're able to influence and touch this product, and it is so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, a good example of that is the Throne and Liberty and Project E. I didn't hear about it at all until earlier this year, and they're like, "Yeah, we're launching at the end of 2022."
Right, because I remember seeing the trailer or something, them talk about those games too, and like, it was like radio silence for I think like a year and a half, and then it's like, yeah, it's gonna be launching. It's like, okay, well, hopefully it works out. But yeah, I think the open development. I think the open development nature of it is like it adds that much more. I think that's like the most fun part of the game currently. Like it's the best MMO right now is interacting with the devs. Like that's I can't find anything on the market that's more exciting than just even talking with the devs at Ashes.
Yeah. Quick pause. Ezekiel King has redeemed a stretch, so everybody get your stretch.
That needs you too, also.
Oh God.
Oh God, I actually needed this.
Right? You don't realize how much you need it until they redeem it.
Need a new chair really bad. I think I mentioned it at least once every time.
I know.
I'm like, oh God, my chair.
You need office chairs, not gaming chairs.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. But about the Nikua. So you said they didn't show any females, but
right.
You know what they say about dwarves? Like even dwarves sometimes have a hard time telling them apart.
Yeah.
Do we really know we didn't see any females?
I love that they're gonna let the females have beards. I think that's awesome.
I think that's amazing. I love it.
It's not over until the bearded lady sings.
Yeah, that works.
Right? I like how the beards are actually growing out of the skull.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
I was like, dude, that's awesome.
That's bananas.
And I like that little lore drop too with that.
Oh yeah, that it's like that they push out like as they're growing. I was like, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yes, Overthrow, we did assume. So many assumptions.
The fake stretch always turns into a real one. Absolutely. I just wanted to highlight Captain Redbeard says it seems like they actually put time into adopting the culture into the character rather than making their own version of it. And I definitely agree.
Yeah, they've done a really good job with that.
And honestly, even Maggie was excited because she was like the Pacific Islander and the island person inside of her was just like super excited to see how well the Pacific Islander was added into it. And did we get a water?
We gotta hydrate.
Bottoms up.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Bochi.
Thank you. But yeah, no, I think they did a really good job. Like, I even mentioned this on our official Twitter on their thing, is like they've done a very good job of taking very traditional like RPG races and making it super unique and making it their own while also being identifiable still for the most part.
That's been really cool is seeing how they go about, like, because they talked about too that they had like this whole process of building out that culture and having like almost like this binder of all these different things, and it's amazing seeing like that develop, like especially even with the Valoon that they showed, where I'm like, dude, like they nail it every single time.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I've highlighted your message on my screen right now.
Yelling at you.
Karthos.
Shots.
Oh my gosh.
Let's do it.
Karthos says, what do you think humans will look like? And I think
like
they showed a little bit.
We've now seen like the Valoon, which looked amazing. Like I remember too that when they showed that dude, I was like, dude, that looks like Jafar from Aladdin. But I was like I'm like, dude, that's so goddamn cool.
So what did you? Sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't what it was. I'm like, I kind of had like a rough idea of what, because they've kind of showed some of the Valoon stuff previously, but these reworks of all the characters have like, even with my complaints about the Renkai, like the way that they still adapted the culture into that, I still think looks amazing, despite my issue with how small the fragile the jaw looks. But the overall, like they have found some way to take all these different fantasy races and give them this really nice fresh feel to them, and it's been very cool seeing those like different cultures, like even taking our real cultures and then putting them in, and like seeing that in that aspect. It's so different from a lot of other games that really do go with like a cookie cutter, like this is how Tolkien had it, or this is how D&D has it, so that's how we're going to run with it.
Wait a second. Let me try something. Can somebody, first off, Vertec, are you bringing the highlighted messages into featured chat?
I'm not.
Okay, well, they're automatically being added, so that's pretty cool.
Hey, all right. I like that.
We're new to featured chat. We haven't really used it outside of manually adding, like what I'm doing right now, manually adding stuff. So every time you guys do a highlight, it just automatically adds it for us.
Oh, nice.
So I'm just like seeing like, I can do this 110 more times. I can do this 98 more times. Like, wait, I didn't add these. Where are they coming from?
Makes life easy.
Right?
Nice.
Yes, you are a featured chat now. Congratulations. So Dougal says, Dagiel says, Valoon equal half genie / ethereal, because
that was the right.
When they showed it, they said that they
have
when
the
they
djinn,
go through.
Yeah, they have the djinn in them. I was like, dude,
that's
that
so
is
exciting.
amazing.
I love that.
And the idea that when they pass through the portal, like essence like ruptures in some parts of their body, and I just want to know what that would be like.
Yeah, do they have like sunspots? Like, what does that look like? Oh, it's like I know, in that like they found a way to make a human race seem like cool. I was like, man, that's really sweet. Like, because most of the time I see human, like, why am I going to play a human in a fantasy game? But the fact that there's actually some type of like djinn in there, I was like, man, that changes this completely.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so awesome. I have to give them huge props for creating so many diverse characters that like I can be a character snob and only play like certain races, and now I don't even know which one I want to play because they're all so good.
Right? You play human because they win fashion moves.
Oh god. Yeah,
Karthos says, I get excited when they said they had the gin in them, and was thinking they said gin like the drink.
Like the booze.
That's some desert gin.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fermented
never
cacti.
know. Never know.
Reminds me, I gotta hit the kitchen, make a drink.
Oh,
Yeah, for real.
gosh.
Well, that was just last night on stream.
They showed just so many things on stream today. There's so much to go off of here, like the creatures, the new map.
Yeah,
I
I was
think
gonna
that
say
was
someone
some-
asked earlier in the chat what we think of the new map, and like
That was the
Let's
most
go about the
impressive
map.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That
They made it
size
bigger.
increase. That was like the thing. It's like I
Yes.
was like, man, they're going to talk about the size increase, because that was the thing, is that when they had Unreal Engine 4, the limitation was at 480 kilometers, and then it's like, yeah, and now it's 35, the size of 35 Skyrims at the 1200. I was like, that just blew my mind. I was like, that is insane.
they're pretty much making sure I'm never gonna actually live my life after this
No, dude, I'm
game
gonna
go
comes
like
out.
this so
Right.
hard.
You have a new home.
Yep,
The
I
end.
know. God, I cannot wait.
I don't mind them taking a while for the game to come out, because then my kids will be older and I can
That's
play
right.
more.
Right, they can play it too. I need some healers.
Yeah.
Now, the other question tied directly to that is, so the map itself got bigger, right? But then they
Mhm.
also reduced the node number, the node quantity.
They did. Yes,
as well.
down to 85.
So now all the nodes are bigger.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought that was an awesome move, because
I agree.
it does allow them to go deeper into each node and gives a reason for people to want to fully explore a node, because there's more meat to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like Supa said, it's only 50 minutes of, I think, mount, 75 minutes walking from top of node to, or top of continent to bottom of continent.
Yeah,
That's
a
like
long
crazy
time.
impressive.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like especially when you get that number and you're like, oh, that's walking. And it's like, well, that's on a mount. And I'm like, what? Like almost an
Yeah.
hour to take a mount from the top to the bottom. I was like, that is insane. And especially with that not
Yeah.
being like an instance thing, like I'm assuming not instance, like having the different loading screens between that. So I'm like, that is a lot of time to travel between that, which makes everything else seem that much more crazy too. Because like even if you're traveling during that, you're going to come across mobs. You're going to have people trying to mess with you. So it's like,
It's not really a straight
that was just
shot.
straight going for there. So it's like, man, you're never gonna you're gonna have to really plan what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's also like I remember in WoW going through like Kalimdor from the top to the bottom when I'm running around trying to collect this or that, or go farming some materials for crafting. And from the top
Yeah.
to bottom to that on a mount, it's not even 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's pretty fast.
Top to bottom, and that's going between different areas and taking the safe roads, which end up winding back and forth all over the place.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know, and I love the fact that of especially once they started talking more too about the caravan system and how especially with them shrinking down those nodes and you're having these more impactful pit stops, I guess, because I would imagine if they had kept that system with all those different nodes, then you'd be able to stop at multiple spots. But now I think because that's more stretched out, you have that more dangerous trip along there. And like you said too, is that we're going to have a much more fleshed out nodes, and especially once they went into showing how the vassals are going to work and everything too. I can't wait until they actually release the nodes 3 and really get in depth with that and show the actual systems and you seeing that development, and then watching as those vassals also kind of grow.
Yeah. Okay, so follow-up question. Do you think this is why Steven hasn't done a Nodes 3 yet?
I think so. I think,
Everything he
Could be,
released.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's most likely because they probably were going a certain direction, and they were like, well, hold on, now that we have Unreal Engine 5, we're going to be able to do a couple different things, so we might have to retool this a bit. Where I think the tech that they have probably for creating those nodes, I think that's probably finished, but how those are actually all going to interact with each other probably wasn't fully conceptualized yet. So and then now I think they're getting closer to be okay, this, you could see it too, with the caravan system of this is how it's going to work. You're going to have this launch point, and then you can get to the safe point, you'll be guided in. So now these things I think are getting even more fleshed out, where I think they had we want this system, but we don't really know exactly how we want to integrate it. And now I think they're getting closer and closer to those points of this is how we're going to do this.
Absolutely. And Levolts, I'm gonna assume, I'm sorry, says there's no loading screens between seconds.
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah, so I knew that in the back of my head, but if I was slightly wrong, I didn't want to be corrected.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's all good. I get corrected all the time. So yeah.
You're allowed to be wrong once in a while. It's more fun that way.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the interesting thing was with the expanse of the world, though, they also didn't increase the number of people living in each server to 8. They're keeping it to 8 to 10K. So I'm curious because they've gone up to 1,200 square kilometers, but they're keeping the same amount of people and also lowering the amount of nodes, also to make it more, substantial and more impactful.
And I think Stephen had mentioned the reason too for wanting having that bigger was I think they were noticing that as they were building that world and they're putting points of interest here and you're putting all these things here, they were realizing I don't know if you guys have ever played Arcade, but when like the land starts getting grabbed up and people start building up their farms and stuff, it feels bad because there's this limited space, and as you're walking through, it just feels cluttered. So I think the idea with this now is that you're going to still be able to have like these large landscapes that aren't cluttered with different things. So that way, when you're going through, you still can soak in the the beauty that the game's going to have and still feel like it's a very big immersive game. Whereas if you're stepping on freeholds every 2 seconds, it's like you just feel like you're cluttered. You're being claustrophobic, even though it's supposed to be this large open world. So I think keeping that, not increasing the amount of people on the server, and keeping it to that original 8 to 10,000, and then improving that area, how big things are going to be. I think also it's going to help with because I think you mentioned too that because it's going to take so long to get from place to place, like if a world event's going off somewhere locally for you, and there's this mega guild that's 50 minutes away, the chances of them being able to come down and zerg and kill that thing that you and your smaller group are going to be working on it's going to be really difficult for them unless they have some way to teleport from scientific node to scientific node. So I think keeping that vastness and still keeping the server population count at the same will definitely help with some of the different issues that could come with that being like more of a PvP game that where you're getting a lot of ganking or you're just getting a lot of people crowded in these one spots.
Lex certainly has his a lot of work ahead of him on this.
It's true.
Absolutely.
It's true. And don't worry, Bochi, if we kicked everybody for trolling, there'd be many of our regulars would not be here. As long as it's good natured, we're all good with it.
Yeah.
But I keep going back to the humorous side of that travel issue too, though. Like, people are used to, oh my gosh, we're getting ganked here. People are, beating us up. We're just trying to gather, whatever. Okay, we're coming to the rescue. Now it's going to be like, oh, that sucks. Good luck.
See, and I think that actually adds to you shouldn't be out there alone. Like it's going to cause more of that socialness of you need to have a group with you. So if you want to go get go get resources and stuff, bring a tank with you, bring a DPS with you, someone that obviously you guys probably saw on the Twitter of they've got the archer watching over the guy who's cutting down the trees, and it's you're going to want to have friends in this game because that's what's going to protect you. And I think that's also a really good way to inject that social side of MMOs back into the game of if you want to play this game, it's not a single player game. You need to have friends. You need to plan out okay guys, we're gonna go get iron today. We gotta kind of work this out, figure out how to do it, and then if it does come to the point where you're starting to get ganked too, it's maybe bring a bigger group next time. And also too the corruption system, how that's going to work too with protecting your, where am I going with this? If you're non-combatant, you're not flagged, and then these people start getting more and more corruption, they're going to be punished for the PKing too. So I think that all should play pretty nicely together. But also that thing, you have a big risk of, if I step away from the metropolitan area, if I step away from my village, there's a good chance something dangerous is out there waiting for me.
Yeah.
So
I have a 2-part question for you guys. So on the topic of caravans and being ganked, Stephen had mentioned being able to route your caravan to the nearest node to try to get there and get within the safety. So that's part 1.
Yeah.
And part 2 is, as somebody mentioned when they walked in, open flagging immediately in the naval open seas.
Okay, so I think so the caravan thing, I think that's actually really cool of like you being able to kind of divert yourself of if you're heading out into the world and it's like, oh man, like I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to where my destination is. Maybe I'll ditch everything here, or I'll hang out here till I can kind of regroup, find other people to come. I think that's really cool. Especially the way they talked about it is like you could get there and then you might want to keep going. Like the way that they're talking about the system right now is it sounds so much more fleshed out than when we were like in Alpha 1 where it's like, yeah, just kind of like follow the caravan.
Yeah.
And then
I said earlier with the what was it, the open PvP naval combat whatever majig thing. If you don't like it, don't sail. Like you can avoid it too. Like if you really don't like PvP that much, like there's so much more in the game than just the naval stuff. Right. So you can still play the game if you really just don't want to be like openly flagged for PvP. Like just don't do that part. Or you can try it, see if you like it, but
I think too, like that makes it really cool. I mean, because we play Sea of Thieves also, and like having that where like your ship can get like raided and stuff by random people. And I think too, like I think Ashes does have this big draw for a lot of people who are PvE like focused, because just a lot of the systems sound really fun for PvEers. And I myself I'm not a heavy PvP player, but man, as soon as they talked about as soon as you hit the open seas that you're in danger, I'm like that makes ocean content that much more fun, because I've played multiple games where you get out on the seas and it's like, all right, we're just going to keep sailing and there's no danger here except maybe like a creature's going to come up. But like the idea that you could have pirate, like you literally could create a whole guild who your whole thing is raiding ships. Like you could be just pirates, cool. Raise that black sail and go to war. I was like, that is so cool. So I think even from like a like, cause we consider ourselves, I guess, like a light RP. We don't like role play, but we do like to have like our characters tell a story or like whatever situation, kind of like have that story behind it. And it's like, man, you can set up a whole guild that is just pirates and smugglers, right. And it's like that'd be so fun.
Yeah, but I wanted to add that's also coming from me, who I am not a PvP player. Like I can be a total sore loser. Like if I lose my stuff, I'm like rage quitting. So like. Yeah, I don't like PvP at all, but if that's part of the game, then like that's okay, because there's people who absolutely love PvP and they think there should be a place where it's safe for them to do that without like the heavy consequences that are in the rest of the world.
Yeah, and this is why I want Vertek's opinion too, because Vertek is more a PvP person. I'm PvE. I just no, I'm good. So Vertek, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's a great change, to be honest, and like Overthrow there said, I was gonna go highlight that message, and looks like you already did. But yeah, it's possibly the biggest change in the game that swings things towards there is a definite PvP draw to the game.
Yeah.
Like just PvP existing in the open world is kind of just a thing that a lot of games have that aren't even designed for PvP necessarily. They just, it's whatever, we didn't want to limit it, so go kill, have fun and be merry or something.
Have fun and murder.
Right. Yeah,
but I mean, it also kind of also falls into something I was thinking of mentioning earlier with the previous I forget what we were talking about exactly. It just went right out my brain. Like
the caravan system. The caravan system, if you're being ganked, you can go to a safe space, and then the open ocean PvP auto flagging. Yeah, that was it. Because I was thinking, like, hear me out. How about we have a guild, right? It's a bounty hunter guild. So everybody there is going to be bounty hunters, and they're going to be focused on being mercenaries for hire. It's going to be called awesome. Netflix and Kill. And they just get paid in-game gold to just stand around people that are gathering or hop in a boat and follow people who are trying to do stuff in the open seas, and just their only job is to watch a movie on one screen and make sure that nobody attacks them on the other.
See, and I think that's awesome because it creates player-driven content. I love that too, is that you now can have that guild where it's like, hey, if you need someone to hire to guard your ships, to sail beside you while you're trying to make it across the sea, of like, I think the thing is too is I think it even though it's, I guess, player versus player, but I think it just gives it more of this real world feel, right? Where it's not it kind of almost like, because PvP in most games I've played is never done right. That's typically why I don't like it. Like PvP in WoW never felt good, and I think it's part of that as being a tank, and it just, as a tank, PvP never felt good. But like, this is the first time where I've seen like some PvP stuff where I'm like, man, this seems really exciting. The fact that, like, you know, I have to team up with people so that way I'm not walking out in the world and just getting caught with my pants down, or that there is now, I can maybe take half your stuff if you drop it. Like there, and the fact that I think too is that you have that same risk. So I think those encounters where you have random people like just wanting to gank someone is going to be much less, because there is that higher threat of like, well, this encounter might not be. I guess I called it something else earlier, is open conflict versus PvP.
Yeah.
So it's more of like, hey, you leave me alone, I leave you alone, versus like where the idea is in PvP normally is like, I'm here to kill you. Whereas this is more like, why don't we try to find a compromise? Why don't we try to be diplomatic? But if things go south, like, I'm pulling my sword.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, can you imagine, because somebody said having the oceans open PvP might be good for PvEers because there might be less PvP on land. But can you just imagine just seeing maybe somebody's stream where like they're planning to PvP somebody else's ship, and then this like open ocean world boss is just like, F both of you, I'm going to eat your ship.
We're taking it all out.
See, it's going to make so many good moments. Like,
Yeah.
I think that too is like, you're gonna have so many cool stories of like, yeah, we went to go do this and this ship was coming in, and then all of a sudden this giant like shark came out of the water. Like, you're not gonna have those interactions if you're always playing in a game that's designed to be very safe. Like Ashes is being designed to punish you for taking, like, not, it's gonna reward you, but if you fail the risk, like, you're gonna get punished in a way. And that type of gameplay, that push and pull is just very exciting, and I think it adds so much more to the game versus like, you know, in World of Warcraft, if you're in the open world, like, someone's just gonna go and, you know, sit by a quest giver and keep killing them, and like, that's not fun. But like, if I'm out in the world and like, I'm, you know, have my caravan going, and then all of a sudden, like, I've got a bunch of people rolling in where I'm like, oh shit, can I make it? Like, and then it's like, man, next time I got to really prepare, make sure I've got more people with me, or I'm gonna, you know, next time, like, you know, I need to find a different guild that has like these things I'm looking for. And I think that's going to cause a lot of, even like that, within the game, like, creating these push and pulls of, you know, all right, maybe this organization didn't work out for me, I'm going to go to this one, and just having this, it makes the world feel more alive, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So first off, real quick, thank you, by the way, Quaternion Slurp, for stopping in, saying hi, and
yes,
subscribing. Much appreciated.
Yes.
It's nice to meet you. Welcome to the tavern. And then, by the way, Demented Lion X says, "Oh, I'm killing. No diplomacy."
Yes.
Yeah.
See, and that's awesome too. Of like, you can be that, like, you know, take names, ask questions later.
Yeah. So check this out, though. This was a question that Overthrow put out. Kind of see.
Yeah. Ooh. Did I have it?
Oh, I'm putting it up right meow.
Okay. Cool. I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of question it. If the corruption system works, then why extend it to the ocean? If the corruption system is limiting PvP too much, then why not scrap it? And I already have kind of an idea in my mind on the approach there, but what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
The corruption system is not going to be taken to the ocean, right? Did I hear that correct? They're asking why take it to the ocean?
I think they're saying, why are they adding like open PvP in the ocean if the corruption system works?
Well, because like that's the thing is, I don't know if you've played a lot of ocean content in games, but there's really not a threat. Like, there's hardly ever a threat for going into. Yes, there won't be any corruption if you're getting flagged. Everyone is on that same thing of like, you come out here, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of like, if you've ever played Black Flag, which this is why I don't like naval combat. I have tried so many times to take out other like enemy ships or just ships out in the water. I'm like, I'm gonna get this ship. It's a tiny one, and then suddenly this like large naval ship just sees me and like takes me out. Like it made me like think about what I was doing.
Right? Like, you can't just mindlessly.
Right.
You can't like mindlessly cross the ocean now and think like you need to consider. That's the thing I think too, is that because we're so conditioned with so many games.
Hype train and also stretch.
I think because we're so conditioned with having games protect us or having that like kind of like single player experience that we forget like MMOs are designed to be like a social game. Like you're supposed to be playing with friends or other things. And we've been so devoid of that in most of our current like MMOs. Like you can go through a dungeon without talking to a single person. You don't have to say a damn thing. You can just speed run them. And I think now of like, all right, I should probably find someone who wants to go across the ocean with me because I don't want to lose all my stuff.
Well, it also adds like so much extra danger. Like the ocean is a dangerous place to start with. Like maybe not as much now with all the technology we have, but like this is a fantasy world. So yeah, it makes it a lot scarier to go out there.
Threat of like anything like, and I you know, you're not, it's not like every single person that sees you while you're on the sea is going to try to attack you. Like it's just unrealistic.
Right. They might think you're going to attack them and run away because they're doing the same thing you are.
Also, like, so once we find out like the different ships too, of like, you know, our smaller ships faster, like how those are all going to interact and work with each other, you might be able to be someone who is a single player that gets onto a ship and you can sail real fast across the sea and no one's going to mess with you. And also with how big the world is, there's probably a good chance that you'll spot a ship, you can kind of avoid it and move across it. But I think it's just that risk of that danger that's associated with like these seas should be deadly.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone here has played Sea of Thieves, but give it a shot and then form your opinion. It's so fun.
It's very fun.
First off, thank you guys for the cheers. I just want to say that real quick. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I was just going to say, let's take a quick break because people have been cheering and such, and I really want to say thank you. I was looking at that. Like, Boshi,
awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the gift sub you gave out to who'd that land on? Hamlet.
That landed.
Hamlet.
Yep, Hamlet.
Which is on last week. Which, by the way, if you want to talk some tanks with somebody there, Chaos, hit up Hamlet's.
Yep, absolutely.
We had a good tank talk last week.
Yes.
Thank you, TL, for the cheer, and thank you, Tarlac 1990 for the cheer.
And Cash.
And thank you, anonymous person.
And Anon, yes. Thank you guys so much.
Anonymous cheerer.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. We actually have a pretty awesome update for you guys at the end of the show in regards to our plans. So I don't know who y'all are, but y'all seem cool. Thank you, Demented. Welcome in. So actually, yeah, that's a good point. It's been a while, and we have a new podcast group with us. So hi, I'm Chibi. This is Vertec, my co-host. We run TGFTavern, and recently Chaos and Lace made their own podcast called Chaos and Lace.
I guess.
So we both are big Ashes of Creation fan. Vertec and I have backed Ashes since the Kickstarter, and we love getting guests on, including new content creators and people within the community, to get your input, your thoughts, and just honestly some good old Ashes talk. So
yes,
this has definitely been like the highlight of my week. I've been looking forward to it so much.
Absolutely.
It's one thing to be able to talk in like Reddit or Discord, but actually to be able to sit down and actually talk to someone about it is definitely on a different level.
Oh yeah,
it's so great. We're normally the ones doing all the teaching, so.
But yeah, you can check out our guest, by the way, by doing !guest anytime in the chat. So there you go. That's their stuff. Go get involved. Also, if we get them to 100 people on YouTube, they can get the vanity URL instead of that really long jumble of letters and numbers.
It won't look as gross anymore.
Yeah, for real.
So
come join us. Come hang out with us.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, oh my goodness, Abarat.
Oh, Abarat, you are far too kind, friend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome in, Latanu. Call me crazy. Oh, I love that. Mandor, Burgund Ironguard, who we will be having on soon, and Ghazi, welcome in. If you guys don't know, if you ever are wanting to get somebody's input on Dwarven stuff, talk to Burgund Ironguard. He is 1,000% pro Dwarven stuff.
I do believe they have a 100% Dwarven guild.
Makes me wonder how they feel about Minotaurs then.
We will be chatting with them about that stuff. I think, if I'm not incorrect, next week potentially. I think it's next week.
I think it may have been 2. I think it may have been 2 weeks.
There's a list. I have it all planned.
We'll look at the schedule. It's coming up.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
Yeah. But so Demented wants to know, did y'all play ArcAge or another MMO? So I personally mainly played World of Warcraft for about 10 to 13 years, and then
That's
Final
impressive.
Fantasy.
It's I played. Jesus, I think I started playing World of Warcraft in 2004, and then we stopped around 2014, so about 10 years. And then I've been kind of like hopping between, just trying to find something. I really did enjoy it. I was playing Arcade Unchained for a little while, but man, not the developers, but the publishers that keeps jumping back and forth. Like, it feels so bad for that game because it should have been better than it was. And I know we played Guild Wars 2, we played ESO. We kind of it was also after we had kids where we kind of fell off gaming for a little while, and then kind of coming back to it and just having a really hard time finding an MMO to call home.
Yeah, we've dipped our toes in pretty much every MMO out there, and we haven't found one that we've stuck to ever since we stopped playing World of Warcraft. I think right now we've been playing Conan Exiles, which we have modded that game like crazy to make it feel like it's
modded to feel like an MMO. Yeah, because we run a couple different private servers. We have like 2 different private Conan servers, and then we have the private V Rising server. Well, they're private, but they're all open. We have like that are in Discord and stuff. But I think that's kind of where we've fallen lately, is that I think some of the survival games give a bit more of that feel of like being able to make that the group. And it's obviously not a massive game, but I think all it really takes is to be in a group of like, 5, 6, 7 people to kind of give that feel of like the game feeling a lot bigger when you're going exploring dungeons and killing bosses and stuff like that. So that's it's kind of good, like get that fixed, but there's still that same thing of like, running to a big, main city or a main hub. And that's like, because I remember like when I first started playing WoW, I'm playing vanilla, and you run and you see all these people on awesome mounts and all this awesome armor, and you're like, man, I can't wait till I'm that guy. And you just sit and hang out in the town, like talking to people. Like that was a thing too, I think, because it was like still around that time of like where you had what was it, Second Life, and it was like a virtual instant messenger. And I think as things have evolved, we've kind of moved away from that, and it's stripped a lot of that social aspects of it. And I think that's what doesn't, the lack of the social side of it is what makes me end up leaving. When we were playing ESO, like we'd jump on and then we realized we're just doing like a loot pinata simulator where we're getting on, we're doing our dailies, we're doing dungeons, and then logging off. And I was like, God, this does not feel good. Like where is the, and the thing is too, they have such an amazing, like they have amazing quest lines. Everything's all voiced over. It's an amazing single player game. It does not feel good as an MMO.
Yeah. Vertec, your favorite MMOs died recently, but what other MMOs have you also played?
This Rip Wildstar. Oh, just open it up with the heartbreak right away. Right?
I'm sorry, I gotta like, a little bit of salt on the wound there just to get it out of the way.
Gouge your soul and then have you talk about other meaningless MMOs after that.
It's sad too, because that was so innovative.
It was, man. It's still, every time I think of it, makes me sad. Yeah. But there is, in case nobody knows, something called Nexus Forever. They're doing like private servers and stuff and kind of reconstructing the
really
game.
Cool.
Nice.
If you know anybody who's like, I'm gonna dip my toes in game development, they could probably use a hand with getting that off the ground, because it's a bunch of people just kind of doing it for free.
Awesome.
As far as I know, doing it for free. I haven't seen them charging anything.
Yeah.
It was like they had that what was it, the Warhammer Ragnarok or whatever. They have like, they eventually now they're putting new dungeons and stuff into that. I'm like, we played that. I played that for a little bit too. Of like, it's really fun when you find those like private servers in the communities that really are amped up, and like when they start trying to inject more into the game. Like it feels, I don't know, a lot of times too, like when I introduced Annie to World Warcraft, like we were playing on a private server at that time, and I was like, I think it was like Kata was coming out soon, and I was like, man, I kind of want to try retail.
Yeah. Shout out to Fire Square.
Yeah, Fire Square. Yeah. I remember there was we ended up creating a massive guild. So there was like, you had over the Horde, there was like one massive guild, and then I was like, they were very snobby, so it's like we ended up creating
they
a guild.
were not nice people.
And,
No.
and we ended up making our guild way bigger than theirs, and it was kind of like
There was so much guild drama too, because
we didn't even realize it, because we didn't even know how to get into the global chat, and then we entered global chat and everyone was talking crap about our guild, and we're like, dude, you guys are jerks. Everyone just keeps, because they were so mad that all new players were just coming to us, and I was like, we're more fun than you. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Stop being a jerk. Maybe people
Right,
like
stop
you.
being so mean to everybody.
But,
They were so snobby. I was like, why?
Joikes. But yeah, I started my MMO adventures back with a game that was like Nintendo graphics as an MMO. It was called Zenimus. Feel free to look that one up sometimes. I think it's still running at the same graphics,
Oh, wow.
and it's. Ooh. But
My
either
God,
way,
I just
I went from that. I played Ultima Online.
yeah.
and
I was gonna
then-
say earlier. I forgot Ultima Online was a big one.
Yeah,
My
Ultima
brother
Online was a
played it a lot,
blast.
and I was like 8 years old, so I didn't know what I was
Aw.
doing when I played it. But
That's cute.
And then right after I played that, I jumped into a never-ending spiral of, hey, I'm tired of paying for games. Let me look for betas and alphas that are not
Somebody
going
in
to
the
charge
chat
me to
has a
play.
question for you.
And what? Huh? Who?
Somebody in the chat has a question for you.
What guild wanted to be known for having the most fun? For some reason, the name Guild Umbra's coming to mind, but I don't know where it's coming from. It's just popping up there. No, that's the guild I was in for jumping into WildStar and hitting some others as well, like the Star Wars SOTOR. I jumped in with them. That was actually my first experience with getting on a podcast. Was with Hammer from Guild Umbra.
Yeah.
He was running one for SOTOR when it was still in beta, and jumped in with him, and I was a nervous Nancy on the microphone, stumbling over my words.
Look how good he's doing now, though.
Yeah. I'm doing all right
So
these
calm.
days.
Practice
But,
makes perfect, honestly.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's why
I was
it's
gonna
always
say, I
funny
just
though.
had
When,
Oh, go ahead.
You're good.
Oh, I was gonna say I had a blast from the past just thinking about it, and it's almost embarrassing. But for the longest time, not the longest time, but like temporarily, I played Furcadia when I was like 10 years old until I realized that it was for furs.
Furs.
I was just thinking of like
That's what WoW is
MMOs
now.
and like
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? I had an older sibling that was like, you know what that's for, right? And I was like, oh God.
It's for people that like animals, of course.
Yeah, I was like,
Dude, guys,
oh.
Neopets was the best MMO ever. Okay.
Oh,
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh, my mom got addicted to that and tried to get me on it. She kept sending me invites until I finally accepted it. I was like, fine, I'll do some stuff. She goes, just do the daily stuff for like a week. I get a big bonus from it. Okay, I got it.
Dude, that's where it all
I
started.
did that for a
Neopets
while.
slowly infecting everything.
Oh my gosh.
Neopets, best MMO 2022.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Demented says, I really like Guild Wars 2, but it feels a bit outdated and the PvP is limited.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree. I that was another one where I actually just tried to force myself to play all the way through that. And it was another thing where like that I do like how they've tried to do things differently, but there's just something about my finest memories is doing dungeons, and there's something about grouping up with other people and learning that with other people. Like when in vanilla WoW, like I remember, like I can't remember the name of the dungeon, but it's like one of the first ones you do. And I remember that took us like 4 hours, and it was just us. We go through it, and then all of a sudden we just sit and start talking and chatting in there, and then you keep going, and it's just, it was such a different environment than it was where it's just like everyone's just trying to smash buttons, get all the way through, AoE everything down. Great, it's a speed run. You can't heal. We're not going to teach you. We're going to kick you out. And it just, now like things don't feel very good. And like one of the things that I didn't really care about with Guild Wars 2 is that it kind of lacked that structured kind of dungeon setup where a lot of it was just kind of like open world, and you kind of get in there with other people. And so I think there, for me, like dungeon design is extremely important when it comes to an MMO, and that was the thing that kind of like made me start backing away from Guild Wars 2, because I'm like, man, I like raiding, I like doing all this stuff, and it's just, it doesn't hit that spot for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Somebody asks, are you all planning to be in the same guild? And I bring this up because I believe you guys are planning to have your own guild, right?
We do. We have the Chaos and
Come
Lace
join
Cartel.
the Chaos and Lace Cartel. Yeah.
We-
You guys are welcome.
That started in the
CLC.
alpha. Yeah, the CLC. Yeah, that started in the in alpha. As we it was when we needed to start. Not before would beat us to creating a guild, but it was like during that time where like everyone needed to like, you know, group up to be in a guild for the sieges. I'm like, man, I kind of really want to. That's when like I kind of get bit by the bug again of like, man, I kind of want to guild lead again. I want to raid lead again. So like we started to create like that small group. It has since kind of like defunct because just not having, I think we thought there would be more spot tests and things like that where we'd all get together. So it's kind of on hold, but that's also like kind of what we're doing with Twitch is I'm trying to find these players of like, maybe they play other games or they're interested in, and then exposing them and corrupting them to Ashes of Creation, and then being like, yeah, like we could use tanks and healers and all these things, and kind of come. We have the private server and stuff too, so like we all have these different clans on some of the games we play. So it's like, yeah, when that game comes out, you guys can jump over, and awesome. So that's kind of been where we've been building that up.
Awesome. So, Vertek and I are part of a friend group's guild called Nexus. So we're not all together going to be in the same guild, but you never know. We might be on the same server and play a bit.
Yeah, I'm totally up for alliances. So
yeah, exactly,
absolutely.
Exactly.
I think you can have like 10 guilds in the alliance or something like that.
Oh yeah,
right.
Something like that, which I think that's awesome too.
Oh man, I had grabbed. Oh, no, I got it. It's right here. Okay, just to change topic a little bit, Ravon came in earlier and said, what got me interested is that nodes can get policies, like Steven giving an example. When a node has low happiness, the mayor can declare martial law, which is awesome. And I just kind of wanted to bring us into the topic on the happiness levels and the policies that they revealed, which I actually went through and I watched every single thing as it went through the slider and I took notes on what they were. So I'll put that out in the chat for you guys. But what are your guys' thought on that?
I think that adds such a I'm playing right now. I was playing was it Wrath of the Righteous, that Pathfinder game, and one of the things that you get to do during that is you get to implement different policies and stuff, or make those type of things as you're going through the campaign. And I like the idea of having that on an MMO scale of you can implement these policies, or you oh, I just lost it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh geez. I don't think that one's coming back.
Oh no.
Yeah, no.
I definitely think it's extremely cool how complex they're getting into this. Like they have experts, like economic experts and everything, helping develop things, and it's going to add such a cool element to Ashes of Creation that we haven't seen in any other game, at least not that I am aware of. So that's by itself is groundbreaking. Like I've said it a million times, if they only pull through with 35% of what they're planning, it's still going to be better and more competitive than every other MMO out there. So
yeah,
I'm shooting for the whole 100% of everything they've promised, but even that would be incredible. So yeah.
And honestly, give it a year after that when people finally see that no, it actually came to fruition and it ended up being a thing, and they worked out some more bugs, and it's even better.
I'm not gonna lie, watching so many people have to eat crow is just gonna be one of the best experiences of just I just can't wait for you guys to have to eat your words.
Absolutely.
Right.
As long as hopefully I don't have to eat mine.
No, I was just gonna say exactly that. Now, all that being said, I recall an experience with a game called SOTOR, where everybody was super excited and ecstatic about that, including an entire guild, and at the time, I was going to yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't jinx it. But going to New York Comic Con with a bunch of other content creators, and we even had a little fan site face-off thing where we all got together and played the game against each other and recorded one big match in a PvP arena. It was a whole lot of fun. Everybody was psyched up about it.
Awesome.
And then I think I kept my sub going for about 2 months after it launched, and said, damn it.
Oof.
There was so much promise. I was hoping they were going to make some changes by launch, and they didn't. And then, maybe after launch, and they made a big announcement that completely contradicted any hopes of those changes being made. And so, all right, I guess that's that.
See, and I think that for Ashes, I think that the number one thing that would probably kill the game would be them backpedaling on the pay to win or any of those pay for convenience. And I feel very safe in the idea of that's not going to happen due to how, like, when Steven starts letting that passion flow of how much he hates pay to win, especially because he was a big whale, like you can see that passion come through of how much he needed to stop ranting because he was going to start going on a tirade of how he actually views the current like game industry. And I think that would be the number one thing that would end up killing the game.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not letting me format it, but I was trying to like make it all nice looking, but sorry.
Oh.
I hope Ashes makes it. I really don't want to play Final Fantasy 14. What? I'm sad. Okay.
I feel that.
I love Final Fantasy 14, but I'm an anime nerd, so
I haven't played Final Fantasy
3 will be out by then
yet.
Yeah, probably.
Ooh, that'd be cool. As for me, I really do love the idea that they have with the policies and everything. Also, my favorite thing that I learned was that if you have your parent node and you have certain things unlocked, you can gain an extra slot for a policy as a child node,
Yeah,
a vassal
really
node.
cool.
Or I think if I understood it correctly, pull from literally a pool of options from the parent node that the parent node unlocked through like achievements and exploration and things like that. I just think that's so cool because it adds like this whole new node system. It really, I went to cousin node. It adds a whole new dynamic between the two nodes, and it's more of a symbiotic relationship between the two instead of like one just taking from the other.
See, and that's what I like too, because I think that we, at least my idea or how I thought about it was we would have that big node that would then you're just locking out those other nodes. But I don't know if they'd ever touched on the fact that like obviously there would be some power of influence to these, but not how that would work. And now that we're seeing like, you know, it kind of spiders out. I like too that the fact that even though it may spider out to how they showed it of like you're going down this way. I see my hands and it's supposed to be a podcast. It's something I struggle with. Say that you have a node that is up at the top and then you've got one to the left, one to the left, one to the left. And then maybe on a different server, you have the node at the top, you're going left, right. Like it's picking up these different ones. So it's not even following like that linear pattern. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting too, that even though that node might grow, its vassals could be completely different on a different server. And then just explaining it too of like, yeah, once you start raising up the vassals and those start reaching different levels too, like you're going to be able to unlock certain things or benefit from having that. So that even gives a greater influence of say you are like, you know, you're in that vassal and like, you're getting that protection from the metropolitan, the city, and then that might make you want to protect that because I like my vassal and I want to actually protect the crown from a siege, or if you don't like having that uprising, but it feels like even if you're not part of that Jesus. I'm gonna say city. I'm not even gonna try right now.
Words are hard.
Even if you don't want to be part of the major city and you're enjoying that stuff, you might want to protect that and go to war with them. I thought that was really cool of how they're actually implementing that system.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my favorite things that they offered was the citizenship asylum for people that lose their...
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Vertex? Sorry.
I was gonna say they addressed one of my big questions for the longest time was with the holding back some nodes in reserve that just won't be assigned as a part of a ZOI. Or else once the full map is filled up, it would have just stayed the same.
Yeah,
and never really changed. There'd be like one specific zone of interest.
What did you think then when they said specifically that when like a level 6 node, for example, gets sieged and like disappears essentially, that the level 5 node that has the capability of rising to level 6 wouldn't be the exact same thumbprint as the level 6? It'll allow the map to change a bit. What did you think of that?
I thought that was really cool. Like, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to be weird with that is if you have a freehold that's on a vassal and level 6 metropolis falls, and then you lose your vassalhood to that, like what happens with your housing, like where you're not allegiant to them anymore, like
I guess that kind of depends, because one of the policies was you instantly get a citizenship and then another node, right?
Yeah, you can get the asylum.
Yeah, then you got to move and rebuild and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, need to see that in action, exactly.
Yeah.
I think you'd probably be less screwed than the people that have the instance departments in the metropolitan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For real.
But I just figure if you're on like a level 4 node, right? So you're 2 removed away from the level 6. So your housing wouldn't be completely flattened just because 6 got destroyed because you weren't on that node, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So would it be destroyed also just because the metropolis is gone?
Well,
and that's where you swore your citizenship when you were dropping your freehold down? Or what if you're in the same exact footprint but you swore your citizenship to the vassal node instead?
Yeah, I can't remember. Do you have to have citizenship to put down your freehold?
I think so. I think you have to have citizenship to even have a tent, from what I saw.
And with that citizenship, obviously you can have that citizenship with that vassal node. So I don't know if you'd be affected by that 6 dropping. Because your where you have citizenship may not actually be affected, because it may leave you vulnerable, because right after that drops, you are now vulnerable to being raided and attacked. But I don't think, as long as you don't have it in that zone, so if you're on that like that 4 or the 5, I think you should be fine. But I believe it would just be that they can actually come and start to raid you and attack your area.
Yeah.
I like Dagiel says, have to see it in action.
Yeah.
There's probably gonna be a lot of testing around it.
Yep.
I wanted to highlight something. I just kind of wanted to chat with this because this is, adjacent. Demented says, what worries me about the node is that the owner can go tax crazy and have crazy high tax rate. I feel like this remains to be seen, obviously, but I do think that it's going to be up to the people within the citizenship to kick out the mayor essentially for being too high of a tax percentage. But also I liked how he explained or reiterated that the amount that gets taxed from the node isn't going to the mayor's pockets or anything. It goes to a treasury holding for the node specifically.
Right, and that's the thing too, is that even if you have a bad mayor, that's part of the gameplay too, is how are we going to remove this person in the seat of power? How are we going to, and that adds another level of excitement and gameplay to this. Of you could have this guy who just or girl that decides we're going to tax everyone as much as we could, and then and then you're gonna have public uprising, or people who are gonna leave. They're not gonna stay in there, and then as you're overtaxing people and everyone's leaving, all these vassals are starting to go to this other area because they're sick of it. Now you're in debt. You don't even have anything. You don't have any money to pay guards. You don't have anything, which now leaves that area susceptible for attack and for siege. And then all those people that you're just pissed off, who just went to a different node that just built up a bunch of stuff, are now coming back with trebuchets and stuff to take you down. There's going to be multiple ways of trying to remove people out of that power. So that I don't think that's so much of a worry, as that's a feature that's part of the gameplay. Is if you have a bad mayor, there's going to be ways to remove them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just more room for more stories.
That's fair too. I mean, honestly, you could just boycott the node, and then the node's not getting, like you were mentioning, node's not getting any influence whatsoever, and so they're gonna pause on their XP cap, if you will, and another node's probably gonna overtake it.
Right. There's going to be a want to keep your people happy, or there's going to be consequences.
Put a bounty on them. Yeah.
Oh, I could definitely see some rogues sneaking into the chamber rooms of the mayor and slitting his throat while he's sleeping.
Oh man.
Now the interesting thing though about that is, some people, do you think they would really care about a reputation hit if they got elected into a position and literally just put some things into place that would severely benefit their guild, and just said, oh well, you're gonna vote me out, whatever, the stuff's going now.
Yeah,
I mean, plenty of money or what have you.
is you're going to have those players that are going to be like, well, I'm going to make this benefit me for a while. And I think too, like even like, because there's that fear too of like mega guilds and stuff like that. But I think time and time again for multiple games has shown that if you have like this mega guild that does start doing that, you have enough smaller guilds and those that can have alliances that end up taking that guild down. Because the thing is too, like it's a persistent world. You guys can't be online all the time, but you can start making all these like calculated.
I'll take that challenge.
You have all these calculated attacks by all these other smaller guilds of like, as you know, especially too, like if you stretch yourself too thin, or you get to the point where you've now caused everyone to leave, and now you don't have the resources to keep that up. Like, there's going to be a risk versus reward of any type of the gameplay.
Yeah. And
thank you for the stretch and hydrate there, by the way, Bochi.
Yes. And what did you guys think about the sneaky mayor can do an emergency mayor thing and only make voting 1 hour? So if you miss out on an hour of gameplay,
that was pretty neat.
Right? Discord will be blowing up. Get online now.
Yeah, everyone get on.
Yeah.
You need to vote.
You're gonna need a town crier. Like, I don't care what you're doing right now. Log on, go vote.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool thing too. Is like that at any moment you could log in. If you're not like a super active player, the world's going to be completely different than when you just left it. You know, you go away for a week, you come back, and it's like I thought I was in a city. Like, where is everything?
Yeah. And also how fast the season changed, right? Ah, man, it was winter when I left. Now it's like spring.
I know, that's definitely something that I think needs to be tested to see. Like, I feel like 2 weeks would probably be the better, but this is yet to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, time will tell.
So there'll all be things we get to play with in the alpha.
Right.
I can't wait to start.
Help them break it.
I think we've been going already an hour and a half. Time flies.
Yeah.
Do.
I wanted to highlight a couple of the community things. There are 2 different pirate arts. And one meme, I think maybe 2, but let me pop it back open real quick. I believe that a counter to that was the mayor can just give an hour until vote is the mobile app Intrepid is planning for the future. Oh yeah, I forgot that they're trying to do the whole mobile app thing.
Yeah, I know they talked about wanting to have multiple different that they talked about. God, I remember they. Well, lost it.
That's okay. Demented actually says, "Hey, Chaos. The thing is that strong players always want to go to the top guilds. The top guild will always be stacked. Smaller guilds can come together, but if their strong players just stack on the strong or stronger guilds, that's it."
The thing is, too, though, in that type of instance, is you are going to start having people that don't want to be told what to do. People who are going to want different things. You only have one mayor, so you're going to tell me that the top players in the guild are not going to try to vie for that or try to jockey for that. Maybe start splitting off. Like, you see big guilds start to split and have those type of confrontations that smaller guilds might not have. And the thing is, too, like, espionage is going to be a thing. You're not going to have your player account attached to your characters. So you could have a rogue that is inside of this guild. You pass that application, you get through there, you seem like a great player, you've been sitting there forever, and it's like, hey guys, they plan on taking a break here. This is when we attack.
Yeah.
So don't forget, there's multiple ways to make sure that you can topple any of those.
Eris PDX says, I want an official Discord bot over a mobile app. Interesting. Didn't think about that.
Official Discord bot over mobile?
Yeah, like have a bot that allows you to do the voting instead of have full mobile.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Big ones have a lot of egos. They split more often without the right chemistry. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing that you have to remember, that when you are those like bigger players and you are a power player, eventually you will start to have confrontation at the top. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It might not happen right away, but conflict will start to happen eternally. That's mostly how those big guilds rip themselves apart.
Yeah.
Whereas smaller guilds typically have they're typically friends, or they're tighter niche, or they have like a tighter bond with each other, where it's not just like, yeah, let's get the best guy in. His attitude, whatever, bring him in. So you have a different mindset with that too, where you don't care about anything but getting to the top. You have a different type of dynamic within those guilds.
Yeah, that makes sense. True, we had a lot of espionage, but it didn't matter. We ran through everyone. Drama does get crazy, and that's always fun.
Absolutely.
I feel like it also
Drama
depends
can
on
be
like
amazing or terrible.
Right. I was gonna say it also depends on like what people want out of their guild. You know, if it's too ruckus, like some people just get really turned off by that.
Or too strict.
Strict. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my gosh, when I was raiding in WoW, I got a part of like the like top eye level stuff, and then my dad had taken a break because he was the reason I started playing World of Warcraft in the first place. So my dad had taken a break and was kind of getting back into it, and like the culture of WoW had changed in that time period. And so where he was used to just like, well, I'm doing my job, like, why is this a problem? They're like focused on his eye level. And so they're trying to like kick him. And he's over here like, but I need gear in order to get like a better eye level or anything. It was just like a weird.
Yeah, that was a really sad introduction to WoW. That was like, I remember I was introduced in Wrath of the Lich King, and that like kind of started to cause that decline of where everyone just wanted to focus on gear, wanted to focus on that. And it did start to kind of sour the game for a lot of people.
Yeah. My main politic experience at MMO is while playing Black Desert Online. Yeah, I can see that. So this is actually by Ultramel, and it's a female pyre. Like, I think it's really pretty.
Yeah.
Really cool.
It is. The little branch leaves with cute little flowers on them.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that we're going to get the character creator before the game comes out, like just to mess around with all the different.
Spend hours on it, I swear.
Dude, that's like when Annie and I start playing games, and I'm like, all right, I got it loaded and installed, and I'm like, you ready? And then like an hour later, I'm like, did you finish making your character yet? Can we start? And
I spent so long in the character.
She's getting upset. She's like, are you already in the game? What are you doing? I'm like, I've been waiting for an hour. Like, I'm at the loading screen.
Just run around in circles.
This is where you guys can make your characters well before the game comes out and save your character file.
I'm so excited for that. I'm like, we can go.
I know sometimes Vertek and I have a difference of opinion on gameplay because he likes to go explore everything, and I'm like focused on the mission, and the exploring is when I'm like done. Yeah. Hours will turn into days. Yeah, fair, absolutely. Can't wait to open my RP characters and make all the character models. Absolutely. This one is basically another drawing of Pyre from Katsu. And somebody mentioned on Reddit, like, oh, it looks like Maggie. And I ended up commenting, like, yeah, pretty much the Pyre looked like Maggie from the beginning.
Yeah, they did. They really did. That was like my first thought when I saw the character art. I was like, dude, that looks like Maggie. Yeah.
Although I have to say, I loved it when they made Asmongold with the character creator.
Oh, dude, that was so
oh
funny.
my god,
man.
that was so good.
I was not ready for the laughter that spewed out of my face.
I was not either. I think that was an awesome play for them too, is to get his attention for that too. Especially the fact that they haven't spent any money on marketing yet is blows my mind too, with how big of a following the game has.
I mean, you make a good product, the product speaks for itself.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's like it
and
practically
people talk
sells
about
itself,
it.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow you guys
All you
tricked me
gotta
into
do is
spending
show people the
$500
thing
right
and they
now.
talk about it.
Honestly,
for the two of us.
without a hindrance, I saw the Kickstarter and I was like, just take my money.
Yeah, dude. I was like, once I finally
real.
saw a pack that came out, I was like, okay, I was like, can we please buy this?
I was dead set on it when I first saw it. It took a little while for Jamie to get on board, but
I was just trying to keep blinders on. I was like, please, I can't look at this right now because I know it's how long this is gonna be, and I'm so impatient of like. And I was like, I know this is not like everyone else is like, it's like 5 years or like 2-3 years. I'm like, no, you don't understand how long these games take to make. I'm like, we're gonna be watching this for the next 10 years.
I was getting the newsletter, and I'd tell him about things here and there.
I was like, please don't tell me.
Even tell me.
Don't even talk to me about it. Don't tell me. I was like, I don't want to know until it's closer to releasing. And then finally, like I said, that release EP on video came out. I was like, well, all right, I'm sold.
And here we go.
Yeah.
So this meme is based off of a leak that Stephen had given about augmenting with the rogue and the ranger types. So it was saying, it's a little small for me on that screen, so let me pull it over here. But it was basically saying like, ranger is going to be shown in September. Also, some augments from the rogue subclass will confer stealth-like effects, though true stealth resides in the realm of the rogue archetype. So I think primary rogue, secondary X. Additionally, rangers have camouflage ability that grants stealth at a distance, but mid and short level range they're revealed. And so there's the guy in the tree. Expert level camouflage.
That's so funny.
Let me see if I can do this a little bit differently. Make it a little bit easier.
But we love pulling your creations, your memes, your arts off of everywhere. It's just, it fuels us.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, there you go. Hey, that works much easier. There you go. But yeah, so how about those, right? Doing it live, as they say.
Doing it live.
How about those leaks, though, that they've been giving? Some pretty big leaks, and then today's live stream was just a bombshell drop.
With our toner.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, she showed the toe.
She was like, nothing happened. Nothing.
I was like,
I knew
oh,
exactly what it was.
Thanks, Vagnar.
You know what I just noticed? And it happened to pop up on the video, on the Twitch video here. Let me put that back up. Because I just saw something on here that I did not notice at all during the stream.
I think, Dante, you were up early.
Look at the shield on this guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a suit of armor strapped to the shield with the skull still inside the helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's like one of the first things I noticed.
Honestly,
like
he's got that dwarf corpse on the...
so cool.
But, yeah, honestly...
That was right up my alley.
So great. So
the
great.
Pox bowls, it just looks so good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dwarf hunting.
See,
don't
this is why I shouldn't have to work for a living.
Absolutely.
I
know.
I should be able to just watch this stuff from beginning to end multiple times in a day and not have to worry about getting work done.
I think now we need to start protesting that they make the Minotaurs a playable race. Like, come on, guys, let's do this.
Dude, they look so cool.
I used to, when I played Dungeons and Dragons with my family, I always played a Minotaur.
Yeah.
Stunk when we would go through dungeons and caves, though, because I had a subtraction on my speed.
Yeah.
Well, that too. You used to play a Tor in the WoW.
Dante,
the Torn in WoW as well.
I'm sorry, but it's hard to summarize today's live stream to you.
Talk about some new map. Yeah, you're gonna wanna.
Yeah,
it's
a lot. It's a lot. Like some big core things changed with the nodes. So like,
I mean, I'm just saying we're about to wrap up here in a minute, and then the VOD will be available. So you know, there's that.
Before, sorry.
We maybe want to do a poll, or did you have an idea on who you might prefer?
For
reading.
Oh, I don't have any preference. We are currently the only ones live streaming under the Ashes of Creation tag. So, I did want to say while Vertec is getting that stuff ready, can't wait to see more of the Naga monsters. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
those are some of the best Naga I've seen. Especially when was talking about how they're all going to have like different tails. Like one might have like a rattlesnake tail, or they're going to have different hoods. I was like, dude, that sounds so cool.
Yes.
Yeah. If while Vertec is trying to figure out what we're doing with the raid, if anybody wants to recommend a channel, ideally, please no follower only chat. We want it open for people to be able to chat without having to follow first. But yeah. Aw, I'm sorry, Tech Deck. Feel better soon. Yeah. Welcome in, gamer. But while you guys are doing that, I wanted to give some quick podcast updates. We are planning to expand our live streams, but we don't have a date as for when this is starting yet. So going forward, at some point, when we announce officially when everything is taking place, we will be doing a Monday night parlor games at TGFTavern. That'll start at 8 p.m. And then we'll be doing the Friday night podcast until, but then after that, we're doing Tavern Talks. So we'll end the podcast for like the live recording, but then we plan on just chatting about Ashes a little bit more afterwards. And then finally, Vertec is super interested in also offering Sunday night comfy streams where maybe we watch movies or we play games, maybe talk more about Ashes. We can't get enough.
Watch House of the Dragon.
Right.
Well, you could do the Ring of Power watch parties.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. So there you go. Like,
doesn't that
lots
come
of
out
things.
on?
That's pretty soon.
When is that coming out? Next week, right?
Question.
Yeah.
But
is it Friday?
I have no idea.
I'm a long time Lord of the Rings fan, so I'm excited.
Yeah, coming out soon. That's all I know. I don't put up a poll real quick while we're chit chatting here. Who to raid today? I'm putting up Bustin for those who like a crowd favorite with the big stream. He's doing some LOL. We got Redbeard, one of the usual suspects, small streamer. So we like to spread the love to the smaller streamers when possible.
Yeah.
But if you have another preference as well, just drop it in the chat. If you two, being our guest and all, have somebody you'd like us to drop a raid over to, let us know. They just need to be
actually, let me see if
relatively family friendly. They don't need to be like a saint or anything. If they're doing a hot tub stream, we're gonna go ahead and not raid there.
Dang it, none of them are on.
Love the guest of
Quick, Jamie, start streaming.
No. I'm glad, Alexia. I'm glad you enjoyed this. So I had a question for you guys while the poll is going in chat, which it's up. So when I reached out to Chaos had mentioned, somebody said that they're wondering when we're going to do a double date, which I think this technically qualifies.
I think this counts. It says it definitely counts.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Like, who?
It was on Reddit. I don't remember who said it, but I had posted saying that that we had started a podcast. I was posting the first YouTube video and asking for some feedback or people to check it out. And then they asked if we were gonna go on a double date with you guys, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna leave my house, but a round table sounds pretty good.
You're right.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
There you go.
But yeah, so that was actually kind of a surprise when I reached out to you to find out. I thought that was kind of funny, and I was like, "Well, we're Tavern based, so technically, I think it counts."
Yeah. Come to our tavern, hang out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because you said you're EST. Your live stream, your podcast, is 1 p.m. tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, I think. Do we start at 1 or 1:30?
I think 1 is better because we try to do it while our kids are napping. So
it's like
That's fair.
But so like 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays is when we've been doing it. So we'll probably be segmenting the live stream that was from today into different parts, and then over the course of like the month, as well as looking into the dev talks and going in depth of our opinions on those.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Demented, no hot tub stream. We don't have a buoyant enough ship for that.
Yeah,
we did
unfortunately, not today.
If Jamie gets 10 subs, though, he's gonna wear one of my bikinis on stream.
We can bring that up on this stream.
Oh yeah.
Just letting everyone know. Put it out there.
Redbeard.
And then I guess they were gonna vote on which one of the bikinis.
That's funny.
We got
I was like,
goals
I have
now.
some pretty cheeky ones. So
Right.
Ooh.
I'm gonna have to send a kiddie pool to be able to pass it off.
for real.
There you go.
All right,
Oh,
so
my lordy.
Redbeard won. Time to grab my credit card.
Yes. Don't subscribe
All right,
to me
well,
though. I don't want my 10 subscribers.
Yeah, I was gonna make her play Dead by Daylight with me.
Aww.
No.
She
Oh my god.
screams. She's terrified. She last time she threw the controller. I thought she was gonna break the TV.
It makes I'm very
It was so
empathetic.
funny.
So,
It was so
when I'm
funny.
when the killer is coming after me, I literally think I'm about to get murdered in real life. It's terrible.
She just screamed it through. I'm like, this would be so funny to stream. Please let me do this. Please let me hook you on a meat hook while we're on stream.
So yeah, if
Because I love you.
I hit 10, that's what I gotta do to appease the masses. So- is cry
Nice,
and
nice.
throw a
That
controller.
sounds like a ball. That sounds kind of
Dude,
like
I just wanted to play.
a relationship here. Play a scary game. Come on. No, I'll
I
get scared.
know.
Exactly.
Dude, well, the outside gaming, when we first started, when we first met, I asked her, like, do you like horror movies and stuff like that? And she's like, yeah. And I don't think it's at the time she knew what I meant, because I was like, oh, great, we're gonna watch Hostel.
I grew up very sheltered, so like horror
She
to
had
me
never
was
seen
completely
anything
different
like
to horror
that.
to him.
And so she's,
Oh
I was
my
like, did you
gosh.
like it? She's like, yeah, trying to fan it off. Yeah. I'm like, oh, great. We'll watch the second one. And she's like, after that, we was like, you want to watch Saw? And she's like, I can't. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't watch any of these movies.
I
She was
was
like,
like,
I'm
I
trying to think you're a psychopath. And I was like, you should have told me at the start. I was like, she's like, I didn't even know these type of movies existed.
God, we'd literally be laying down to go to bed, and I'm just like getting flashbacks of the movie, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna throw up.
Oh no.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
But here we are,
Here we
being my
are.
psychopathic husband.
That's
12
okay.
years later.
Mine likes to scare me, so
Oh, dude, like the other day, the
Totally
kids were playing with, like,
accidental.
this the kids were playing with like this rubber snake, and she was like already feeling jumpy, and I was like, I'm just gonna toss it at you.
Aw.
Your catch.
Yep, it was like, oh my God, what is that?
I'm gonna get this raid started. Any final
Yeah.
conversation thoughts?
Yeah, we got usually it's about a 1 minute or so countdown. If you have any last words for the peoples, or anything else you'd rather or you'd like to plug out for them.
Guys,
God,
this was a ton of fun. I've been looking forward to doing this all week, and it definitely was a really fun experience, and getting to meet other content creators, especially with how early on we've like started doing this. Like, I didn't expect anyone to reach out to us or anytime soon. So it's been really fun, and the support that we've been getting has been really cool. So if you guys want to check us out, all our links and stuff are in there. You can find us on Twitter and YouTube, all those things. If you like our stuff, let us know, and we'll keep making more of it.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
what we're
good.
here for. Honestly, we should have started streaming back when we first
I
talked
know,
about
dude.
it.
That's like when we had the Alpha 1, and we were like, I should have streamed it, because I didn't know they were going to drop. No, I was like, this is the first time doing anything like this with an NDA. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to drop.
Yeah.
And then that dropped. I'm like, man, it could have been so much. I could have been set up for this.
Yeah. So my last thoughts are, I really enjoyed seeing the changes to not only the characters but also the nodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that was really cool.
Those Minotaurs,
And,
though. I think we're going to be
Dude,
talking
I know.
about those
I
a
can't
lot
wait
on
to-
our
yeah, we
stream
really wanna dive into
tomorrow.
that.
Absolutely. All right.
That
Well,
was definitely really cool.
thank you everybody for stopping by. Thank you, Chaos. Thank you, Lace. Truly enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much for having
Uh,
us. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you so much
Have
for having
us
us
again anytime. Like, you guys
Yeah.
are awesome. This was
thank
awesome.
you.
This was great. This was a lot of fun.
I'm really glad you
Right,
guys
and,
are free to come.
Yeah.
So see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Later, guys.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.